if you can pay so much less for labor, make the same product at the same quality level, and still ship it across continents for less money, then tell me how you incentivize to a point of like building factories here and operating under regulations that the United States has in place. Hey everybody, welcome to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. Oh man, Andy, right as I hit record, I started choking and coughing.
Choking yourself out.
Oh my gosh, I was just about to say too, like my voice is a little bit better, but nah, I don't know if
it was like, watch this, sucker.
Yeah, spoke way too soon or at all. Hey everybody, so last week we talked about some cool content, talking about working with builders. The week before we talked about should we be working in people's homes and when they're not around? Should we be working in people's homes, Andy?
Yeah, well, it's questionable.
When they're not around, however, we think we came to the consensus, at least I know you did for sure. No, it's a bad idea. Well, anyway, got some feedback from that already. We'll talk about that in another episode. But today, we got a listener comment came in just asking about, do you think it's a good idea to start telling people or to like switch your business up and just go, hey, in light of all these crazy things that are going on in the economy right now and the emphasis on manufacturing and using USA made products, should you use that in your business as marketing and go to your customer and say, hey, proud to install US made products?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the gist of it?
I've looked at it over the years, and I remember a time early in business where I was very much so, hey, we're going to go to great reaches to try and buy U.S. parts, right? Domestic fittings, domestic pipe, let's buy Ward manufactured fittings, we're going to buy, certain things like that. And always, this is what we always do. And I still do that to some extent. But
is it because it's made in the U.S. or is it because you feel that particular product is a better product? And by the way, it's made in the U.S.
Yeah, the latter. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that it's made in the U.S. and I would love to see more of my quality products built in the U.S. However, we don't have a significant brass manufacturing industry in the U.S., right? Not significant in the terms of like it's on the level of, Europe and Italy and those countries.
No, they've been invested in that market since really the market came alive,
like
over 100 years.
The Bronze Age?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Well, they have the deposits there. I mean,
sure.
Italy does. I've been to a couple manufacturers in Italy, and literally the region in which they are in northern Italy is like, that's where they mine the materials to make brass products and copper products and bronze and all those alloys, right? That's literally like coming out of the earth where those factories are. It's just like anything else, just like where I live, right? So like I live in an area where they mine a bunch of gravel, right? It's gravel mining for literally every construction industry is made right here, right? Just like literally just a mile down the road from my house.
Sure.
Okay. You're not going to find that same gravel deposit in just any location, right?
Right.
So like, I mean, it makes sense that the brass is made there. I guess my question to you though, like we could go down the route. This conversation could easily go like, hey, do we buy US products because of a pride? Like we're supporting our economy and all this stuff. I mean, the answer to that is yeah. I mean, do I buy those Ward fittings? And when I buy them, do I think like I just put people to work? I guess if I stop and think about it, yeah, but you know why I bought the product? Because that Ward iron pipe fitting was like the nipples come out of the fitting straight and the tappings are all nice and they're clean and they don't leak.
Right.
If I could get that same quality in another product for half the price, I'll be honest, I might think about buying that. And if it came from another country, but right now, for many years in a row, I've been buying that US product and I'm paying more for it.
Sure. But we go to that same concept and say, well, what about like press fittings?
Right.
I mean, to my knowledge, how many of them are made here in the U.S.?
For Viga, 1 inch and down, all of them.
Right.
For copper. And then they're also making mega press here. They're opening a plant in Ohio, which is going to be big news this summer as they announce the opening of that. They've talked about it a little bit out in the in the media. We've had some stuff on Mechanical Hub about it. But you're right. There's a lot of options out there that aren't made here. I know that Nibco makes some copper fittings here in the United States, also including press, but they also come from overseas too.
I generally, if I have options, right, and U.S. made and quality is in the same pile, that's the one I'm going to pick. And that's kind of where, I think you and I both align on the, the Ward fittings, the Viga fittings, things like that we've grown to like that quality of thing. Some of the things that I have a challenge with is stuff like, Kalefi, right?
Yeah. Not USA made.
Not USA made. They make probably some of the finest brass, whatever hydronic accessories
and plumbing.
And plumbing accessories that could be bought. And that's something that I'm willing to say, well, I'll import that. I don't want to see it have a massive, huge offset against them, because I think that they've worked really hard to get that product in front of installers and contractors in the U.S. for a long time. Clef is an old company, and it's just recently, I'm going to say recently, the last 10 years, where it's become mainstream here.
Yeah. I agree with that. I've been to their factory. I'm a little biased, admittedly, in their favor. I haven't been to a factory or worked with a product line that I think has the same level of innovation and breadth of offering at such a high level of quality, right? I feel like I'm checking every box at, adjective, like, hey, how many good things can you say about this company? I'm not trying to do that. I think I'm speaking the truth. I really do. Now, are there other companies that make great products, maybe even here in the US or US based products, let's say US based companies? Cause that's kind of a second layer to this onion we'll get into in a second I want to bring up. But, are there other companies that compete against a company like Kalefi that make their products here?
Yeah.
There are companies that do, but not in every category. And then also, I can say that although I love a lot of the products that their competitors make, I don't need to name names and pin one against the other. Yeah. It's not the point of this discussion.
No.
I don't think that they measure up fully.
Yep.
And is Kalefi perfect? No. So let's also say that.
Yep.
Have they had challenges? Have they had products that were kind of like halfway or most of the way there, but not fully? Yeah. Every company goes through that.
Every manufacturer.
It also seems like they're also a company that has acted on a couple key things that people were dissatisfied with their products about and made some major changes.
Yeah.
And it's been good. Okay. Off topic, right? So we're going off a tangent there. Not USA made, but we're willing to import it because of the quality.
Sure.
So we're setting this up. This is where we're going with this conversation, right? So we're still on the product thing and what we choose to buy, right? So I've said, and make no mistake, and I'm sorry to anybody that works with Mechanical Hub or anything that is a competitor against a company like Viga. I'm not gonna pretend on this podcast that all the copper press fittings in my van and in my shop aren't Viga, because like 99% of them are.
Right.
And many of those products are made in Germany. And many of them also, like a good amount of them are made here in the US. Right. And so I just got done saying, like, they make, like, I know 1 inch and down in copper fittings. Press fittings are made here in the US. I've been to that factory, by the way.
Yeah.
Do I buy them because they're made in the US? I don't. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I buy them because originally they were made in Germany. Also not a reason why I bought them, but because of quality. And so, okay, that's a long way to get to this next. I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
you and I both install the same brand of boilers. We've talked about a million times here on the podcast. If anybody needs to be brought up to speed, we're quite fond of the product line put out by a company called Viessmann.
Right.
That doesn't mean that their competitors aren't as good or aren't good products. We have found, for a lot of reasons, after investing a lot of time and effort in installs and paying a lot of money for a lot of product and working through problems and getting good at it, that we've stuck with it. We think that they get the best product. Okay.
Right.
Not made in U.S. Not a single one of their products is made here.
No, I don't think there's a single part of their product. Maybe.
I bet you even the literature,
Stickers,
if you were to order literature from them, they probably doesn't come printed out of the U.S.
I bet not.
Yeah.
Yep.
Point being is this. How many times have you had the question asked of you, where is this boiler made? Where the water heater you're putting next to it?
Pretty I seem like on standard efficiency equipment, I don't ever get asked that question. On high efficiency equipment, I get asked regularly.
What do you think why do you think that is?
I don't know in particular. I think our customers in general are fairly well educated in the sense that they're calling to have someone come give them a boiler estimate, and they want to be somewhat up to speed on the conversation before I arrive.
Yeah, so they've already figured out that this is a German thing, or this is maybe made in the U.S.
Yeah, and maybe they've just Google searched what's a good boiler company,
right?
And
then they got all the marketing materials,
and they got the marketing that came along with it, and then they looked at some Google reviews or some Consumer Reports or whatever. Which, by the way, if people are basing their stuff off Consumer Reports.
I like the magazine. I read their.
I like the magazine too, but
off of it though.
I feel like there's a monetary.
They buy all their products.
Yeah, well,
they buy every one of their products.
Yeah,
honestly, they don't. Nobody even gives them a product. They don't test the product that's given to them.
Interesting.
But anyway, I hear you. You got to get the information. You have to make sense of it.
Yeah, and so I this is a conversation. I just actually had this conversation yesterday with a homeowner on the basis of a heat pump water heater. Yeah. And she goes, these Rheem ones from Home Depot are superior. And I was like, well, I mean, maybe.
Why?
I mean,
why did you think that?
Well, she goes, well, all the reports say that this Rheem whatever line from Home Depot is the best line. I said, well, let's take it into context. It's probably one of the more sold units.
It's the most complete lineup. Like they have the most sizes, they have the most offerings, 110, 220, 208. Yeah. They absolutely.
I said it's a good product. I said I don't have any issue against it. Let's see what's out there. I said, but here's what I won't do is I'm not going to go to Home Depot and buy the Home Depot model and install it for you. It'll be a Pro Series line from Rheem. That's fine. It's going to come with all of my manufacturer support and all of that. Whereas if I buy it from Home Depot, I'm not going to get that same level of customer support after sale. And she was fine with that, but that, back on the where is this made conversation, it comes up. It's not all the time. And I usually is, if like, for instance, we're selling, Viessmann, if the customer asked, well, where is this boiler made? I said, well, it's made in Germany. And most customers go, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
that's not an issue.
How many times have you heard, oh, they make those Germans, they're good at engineering or something like that, right? Every time. I think it's worth bringing up because although I'm not dismissing the importance of supporting our economy and our citizens here in the United States and anybody working in the factories and whatever, the reality is this: some products that we use in our industry, plumbing and HVAC, are made here in the United States.
Yeah,
very few. Let's just and no matter how much you tax, I don't want to get political, but no matter how much you tax imports, that's less likely to change anytime soon. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. But and it's certainly not going to happen overnight.
Right.
A lot of the major manufacturers have moved overseas for one reason only, or not only, But the main reason, labor costs.
Yeah.
Straight up, if you can pay so much less for labor, make the same product at the same quality level, and still ship it across continents
right.
for less money, then tell me how you incentivize to a point of like building factories here and operating under regulations that the United States has in place. Not likely going to happen at major scale. Will it happen? Well, yeah, it'll happen.
And I guess that's something that, you know, that I look at in some of our manufacturing. I can't imagine that manufacturing costs in Italy or let's say mainstream Europe are any or significantly less than they are here in the U.S.
No, they're not at all. In fact, their people are earning much better wages.
Right.
The companies are not. They're required by regulations and laws in the EU to put so much more money back into their communities, and they pay for a lifestyle that supports, you know, middle class living, things like that, insurances, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at there's numbers. We could go off on many tangents there. Yeah. Hilti is one that comes to mind.
Nonprofit, by the way, Hilti. Do you know that? Fully nonprofit.
How's that factor into things?
Honestly, one of the largest, if not the largest tool manufacturer in the world.
Right.
Nonprofit. No, okay. So let's go back. So we talked about boilers. People ask you, like, we're going to just stick with what we're good at, right? What we're dealing with every single day. We're not doing much hypothetical here. Customers ask me about it, and I just say with pride, I say, hey, this is made in Germany. It's in my opinion, one of the best products you can buy in the marketplace.
Right. That's why we're here.
And so if anybody wants to go into, I've never had a customer go into debate about whether it's made here or not. I take this kind of a next step when I try to describe how I think about this. Yep. So when I think about this subject matter, when it comes to like an appliance in your home, water heater,
right?
Which most are not made here, by the way. Some are, and we can get in that too. But I think about it like this: I could just walk out of the mechanical room, up the steps, into the living room, and I point at that big, giant picture frame on the wall that turns on when you hit it with the remote. And we all stream our favorite TV shows and everything on it. And there's not been one of those made in the United States since, I can't even remember.
Right.
Like, honestly, in my lifetime, I may have not lived in a home that had a television that was made in the United States. I could be wrong on that. I don't know where they made Zenith television, tube TVs back when I was, 4. Okay.
Right.
But let's just say this: in my adult life, I can tell you with 100% certainty that I have not owned, and I've owned many TVs. I've not owned a single TV that was made here in the United States.
Yeah, I doubt it.
So if they're going to start, taxing TV imports, do you think people are going to start? You think these companies are just make them here now?
Right.
I don't think so. We've covered it. Water heaters, tankless. There's no way tankless is made here, is there? Maybe assembled.
Maybe assembled.
One of the best companies, in my opinion, that we've ever been. We've been lucky to work with them in the past, and you and I both. We've installed their products for decades. You and I both, and many people who listen to this podcast have too. Bradford White Corporation.
Yep. They're
in Middleville, Michigan. They're just north of Grand Rapids, Michigan, or just outside of Grand. I don't know which direction. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bradford White and Michiganders. But
you're in the area.
Yeah. But they make their products here. They don't make everything. They don't make every component though, right?
Sure.
And so like made in the USA means there's a lot of things that can qualify as that. Like I know for a fact, and they don't hide this, they're raw materials for their tanks.
Yeah.
They comes in on these giant spools of thin, sheet metal, not thin, but the rolled sheet metal.
Right.
That's what they make the tanks and the jackets, all that stuff with, right?
Right.
It's not made here, guys. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's not. It hasn't been for a long time. And the reason that is because of cost.
Sure.
Bradford White can't source those materials here, build the water heater, and then compete against the other major brands who are much bigger, by the way,
who are also doing the same thing.
Who are also doing the same thing and at bigger scale and able to do it for less money.
Yeah.
Largest water heater manufacturer, according to ChatGPT, is A.O. Smith. Okay. A.O. Smith is headquartered all over the place in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
And has manufacturing all over
the world,
literally the world, in like probably each continent from what I can tell, USA, China, India, Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Middle East. I mean, that's a pretty long list, according to ChatGPT. Now, is it 100%? I didn't go much deeper.
It was on the internet. It's got to be true.
It's got to be true. It's got to be true. It's on this podcast. It's at least half right.
Verified by
the part that's half right probably came from Andy, by the way. The point is they also make product here, but they make it in other countries. And other countries, they're making other products in other countries and shipping them to the United States.
Sure.
I looked on A.O. Smith's website, and this is absolutely, there's no negativity put toward A.O. Smith. Great company, great products. I looked up 2 water heaters.
Okay.
Standard 80-gallon electric, 40, 50, 80-gallon electric. Okay. They're standard electric tank.
Right.
Pro line. Okay. This is sold through wholesale distribution. And then the pro line of the gas water heaters, atmospheric, 40, 50. Where do you think they're made? They're not made in the United States. You know how I know that? Because it doesn't say anywhere on their tech specs, on their product listings, on their website, or on their installation manuals. It does not say that they're made in the United States. It says that they're made from, they're assembled from products from many countries of origin, something like that. Some statement that just says everything but not made here in the United States.
Yep. I wonder if that's not on a regional intention. Where middle of the country, maybe you're getting a U.S. built A.O. Smith tank.
Very, very likely true.
The north, you're getting, could potentially have a Canadian built tank, and in the south, you may have a Mexico built tank.
Right.
Just because it's the closest place to ship in whatever and for distribution.
Yeah, so. And that's a great point. I think that's worth bringing up. And of course, we can't substantiate this with anybody. We don't have a guest on or anything to reiterate this. But I don't think that. I think we need to, if you're really intent on installing products in the U.S. or you're against products that aren't made here, I think that you need to keep in mind that these companies aren't doing it like to screw the U.S. Like they're literally meeting a market demand, and they're going, okay, well, our number one objective is to be profitable. And if that means the people in New York City get tanks built in Tennessee because it costs too much to ship them from Mexico, then so be it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
It's like, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think that's I hear these people talking, we're like, gotta be USA made. Well, you got to talk to the corporations about that then.
Right. Well, and then also understand that you're going to take a product that has potentially been, I'm going to say perfected in its home country, and bring it somewhere that it now has additional standards, additional testing, maybe not even testing, manufacturing standards that are going to apply. And you're potentially not going to get the same level of quality once it's moved and built here, right?
You don't think that? No, maybe I'm misunderstanding you.
I guess what I'm saying is that if you expect a company to create a new manufacturing facility and build the exact same part for the same price here, the math doesn't work out. You can't have that kind of capital investment and not charge something towards the good manufactured there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Absolutely. And it kind of goes back to what you said about like, like the factories, the labor force, the whole business model in Europe is a little bit different than it is maybe in South America or something like that, or China, because they treat their employees differently with pay and benefits, stuff like that. Right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Right along those lines. I mean, I think it's important to do, to do our best to, try and support American manufacturing where it makes sense, it's feasible, the value is there. Um, I I guess I'm reluctant to say, or I'm not reluctant to say, I'm going to say that my company is going to largely continue doing what we are doing now, and that's providing parts to our customers that have the best possible value and quality and cost.
If I couldn't say it better. I agree. I think that's right now, until I start seeing products that are equal across the board, regardless of manufacturing origin.
Sure.
Then I'm going to stick with what I've spent years and years learning my lessons on, right?
Right.
I've learned my lesson not to buy these particular fittings, or learn my lesson that particular product line isn't for me.
Yep.
And it could be made here, or it could be made somewhere
Sure.
else, most likely somewhere else. But I'm today and yesterday and tomorrow installing what I feel are the best products that I can get my hands on. And
Right.
I wish that they were all made here. I do.
Sure. I'd be totally fine if they were.
But yeah, but I'm also buying, I'm not buying direct. I'm buying through the typical sales channels that support my local economy. And I think that's important too.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, to answer the question, like, I think you just did, right? Is it so important that we go to our customers and say, hey, we buy this, and because it's made in the US, like overall, like all of our products.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
Well, I think there are certain things. I mean, we saw it with the, what was that? The heck was the name of that? Now I'm drawing a blank. It's been a thing for the last 15 years. It came along in the 2008, 2009 stock market crash. When it was the like American Reinvest. What the heck is that called?
Oh,
there was a standard, and it applied mostly to commercial projects, especially federally funded projects.
Oh yeah.
Where you had to have a substantiated amount of product had to be U.S. built. And we saw
awesome.
a lot of really great incentive. We saw a lot of great manufacturing come out of that, but it also limited the playing field. In certain applications where you couldn't use maybe a superior product that it maybe isn't offered here, and that was something that I remember. Back before my time owning a business, was going to these projects and being like, why are we using this?
Yeah,
this is weird. Like, what happened to the valves that we've been using? Right. Well, this is a whatever the heck it was. Now I'm drawing a blank on the acronym, but
required on the job. For the contract.
But it was like all of a sudden we got different valves, and we have different whatever than we normally use, different gauges maybe. And it was just weird. It was weird to us as installers that had done this same commercial job over and over and over again to get, wow, that's weird. We have Milwaukee valves this time. And it's like, well, why do we have Milwaukee valves? We've always used, red and white or whatever. And, then you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the shop and grab, I need another half a dozen 3/4 valves, and you grab red, white off the shelf and you go to the job, and then, your foreman's like, whoa, can't use those. Put those back on the truck.
Right. Well,
which is fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. But and not to say that Milwaukee valves were any less better or, less quality or anything.
I'll leave it with this. Right now, my customers aren't demanding certain product lines and only to be sourced from the U.S. and stuff like that. If they do, maybe I'll change my tune. But right now, they're not. And they're asking me for my advice, and I'm giving it to them. Basically, this is my proposal for the job. It includes this equipment. It's rarely ever broken down, by the way. But until that changes, I said what I said. Like, I think I'm using the best products I can. Some of those are coming from here, some of them are not, and I'm not doing it. You know, I'm doing it based off quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there you go, dude. Think of anything you need to say while I say this. Everybody check out the YouTube podcast version of this podcast. If you haven't already and you like watching YouTube, you can go over to the Mechanical Hub channel, hit like and subscribe and, you know, the whole thing. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. And then of course, we ask all the time. It's been a while since we've got a big run of reviews on the podcast app, but it's time, guys. If you're listening and you like this, go to your podcast app, please, and give us a review. Give us a 5-star rating, 4, whatever. I mean, I know it's gonna be 5, and I know you don't even have to write anything. You don't even have to just 5-star submit. You know what I mean? It helps people find us, and we appreciate it. We really do.
Yeah. And in addition to that, you know, if you are listening to this and you've got a comment on this episode or something you'd want us to elaborate on or talk about in the future, you can get us on that Spotify chat.
There's a chat there just for Spotify.
Give us a little information. Don't leave your, like, this is my mailing address and my social security number. That's not necessary, but tell us where you're from. And who you are, because on our end, it's a little vague.
Yeah. They don't give us all the info, guys.
Right. So anyway,
you know,
that way
maybe the street you grew up on and the name of your first pet.
Yeah. You know, mother's maiden name. I don't, you know,
I mean, just the standard stuff. That's all.
Standard information. Yeah.
Oh man, now I'm coughing.
So,
all right.
Okay. Eric's dead. He's out.
I'm dying here. I gotta go. See ya.
Gotta go.